And now, as I told you before, we have incredible, outstanding business leaders that will be sharing their thoughts, their expertise with us today. I want to introduce them, and I will start presenting Dr. Raghavan Siddha, CEO of Doha Bank from the state of Qatar. And let me tell you something about him. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Doha Bank since 2007, a prominent personality in the banking industry through the Middle East, an economic expert who has achieved remarkable success for his contributions to banking, trade, investment, economics, environmental, social responsibility, philanthropy, and charity. He's a chartered accountant and holds a certificate in IT systems and corporate management. And he was a gold medalist in his graduation. He's a recipient of multiple doctorates from leading universities of the world, including 3 PhDs in economic implications of global citizenship by the Sri Sharda Institute of Indian Management, a PhD in global governance by European University, PhD in green banking and sustainability from Sri University, a doctorate of laws by Washington College for his unique and valuable contribution to society in the field of banking and knowledge management, a doctorate of honoris causa from European University for his contribution to global governance and social responsibility, and Doctor of Philosophy honorary by Arts, Science and Technology University from Lebanon for his valuable contribution to banking and finance. But he has also recognitions as the government of India with the prestigious Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, the highest honor conferred of overseas Indians by the government of India. Dr.Seetharaman was honored with the Green Economic Visionary Award in 2016 by the Union of Arab Banks for his contribution in promoting green economies. He also was honored with the Global Excellence Award in Renewable Energy in 2017 by the Energy and Environmental Foundation. He has been named Best CEO in Middle East 6 times in the last 15 years and is a prominent personality in the banking industry through the Middle East. Being a high-profile economist, he is invited on a regular basis by international media such as BBC, CNN, Fox, CNBC, Sky News, ABC, and Bloomberg to share his views. It's an honor to have him as one of our members. And please, before listening to him, I want to present also the best testimony video of Doha Bank. Please.
Absolutely delightful. It is reinforcing our commitment to all the stakeholders. It is society at large, regulators, customers, staff, shareholders. So it's important we sustain our credibility and keep winning award. Winnings are testimony to see that we are consistent in our commitment. We continue to perform better and better. Continuing knowledge management, changing dynamics and adapt yourself with the changing business modeling, and ensuring we built an organization with a long-term vision.
Good evening, Your Excellencies and distinguished gentlemen. It's my pleasure and privilege to receive on behalf of the bank and on my personal behalf. It reinforces our commitment to all the stakeholders, the shareholders, the customer, staff, society at large, and also Qatar is a country of great substance and substantive compliance. So one and all deserves better meritocracy, and it goes to one and all. So Qatar, as a double-A-rated country, Doha Bank as an A-rated institutions operating in 20-odd countries, we have been a sustainable performance to make sure we are useful, purposeful corporate citizens. Thank you again, the World Cup, for the wonderful recognition. Thank you.
Absolutely positive, ensuring we have hard work, commitment, social responsibility, and making sure we are purposeful in our mission and execution.
Thank you, Daniel, for the wonderful introduction. I'm truly humbled. My good friend Jesus is there. What a joy to see you all. And the last we met was in Amsterdam in 2000. 19. And we welcome again to Qatar. You were here 13 years before, and we look forward to host you again. What a defining moment we are in. Extraordinary set of changes and challenges happening in the world. And I compliment World Corp for organizing, in this defining moment, a very useful, a meaningful content, achieving excellence, practicing finance and banking through transformational leadership. And that's needed the hour. Look at the tragedy in terms of human governance. 185 million people have been impacted. We lost nearly 4 million people. Extraordinary set of changes, and we have seen global vaccine is done for 3.25 billion doses. When it comes to full-scale administration, it's only still 895 million for a population in this planet of nearly 7 billion. Still a long way to go in making sure the issue is fully settled for human dignity, human prosperity. If you look at the basic governance which are getting challenged, economic governance to start with, we have seen every part of the globe, monetary policy and fiscal policy has been redefined, improving the liquidity, increasing the money supply, ensuring business continuity is on. Governments have pumped trillions of dollars across the globe. We have to make sure debt servicing capacity is eased. We have to reduce the interest rate. We have to make sure remedial management comes in so that business coming out of this disaster. When it comes to social governance, huge amount of recognition required that we need to maintain the discipline, whether it's social distancing or hygiene, name it. Environmental governance more than anything else. That's a new opportunity. While it's a huge risk, we are endangering the solvency of this planet. We have also an opportunity to recognize we can use this pandemic with a positive momentum. That's what the lesson learned. Increasing sea level, increasing temperature, animal extinctions. Look at the carbon emission around the world. Look at the changing dynamics in terms of the overall commitment politicians and technocrats, bankers are making now after this pandemic. Climate revolution is a major story now. And financial institutions have got a bigger role to play, and world at large is at stake to protect our children, protect our grandchildren. We recognize this as good as last G7 meeting in Cornwall, UK. Politicians have confirmed trillions of dollars they will commit. A portion of their GDP they will allocate to make sure this planet is not vanished. Truly, 20 years before, when I put a markup alligator and a python in my hand across the globe with different costumes, I was trying to present the seriousness of the global warming and climate change. A banker running a financial institutions, why should you do it? And that was the question. And also recognize we operate in a place where 45% of the world oil, 25% of the world gas comes from. Creating a carbon neutral society is not an option. We can offset the carbon. There could be carbon emission. We all have to carbon. We have to make sure we carbon offsetting is a process, structured process. We have to come to terms. Not necessarily for our generations. The future generation has to be well off than the present. That's what we all aim at as our commitment to the society. So today's world is not an easy moment. Look at the IMF prediction. Now, when it comes to predicating the changing dynamics, we have our own story. IMF has clearly indicated, International Monetary Fund, last year, 4 times the overall economic outlook for 2021 was revised. Last year, 2020 itself is a contraction. If you look at the big picture, it's a huge contraction. Now, when it comes to current momentum, in October last year, IMF, it was virtual, like as we do. It was revised global growth of around 6%. It was revised downward in January. It was revised down again in Washington in the spring meetings in April this year. June again, because it's an experimental framework we are governing. After 1930, we are witnessing something which is extraordinary. The human measurement management is failing. Now we are still in the crossroads of Delta variants. We have to be watchful here. The crisis is not over. It's not going to be over in the short and medium term. We have to live with it, with this discipline. And that's what the message I want to convey. So when it comes to growth projection, now, IMF said it in June. In end of June, again, World Bank said, no, it is not coming to terms. With all this vaccination getting accelerated well in the developed economies, it might perform from the original prediction IMF said from 5.1% to 5.4%. Emerging economies, developing economies, which are incremental in terms of productivity, to the tune of 6.7% according to IMF, now revised downward because they are not having the infrastructure to vaccinate in total terms. So they are going to slow down. See the consequence of it. So it is developed economies and developing economies are getting revised forecasts. That's the reality. At the same time, we have to understand the world is not over. We have an ethical and moral commitment to make. We have to recognize every single monetary policy around the world, as including Federal Reserve. What did they say? They said we will keep the interest rate balanced. Now, inflation is transitory. The new administration in the United States said we're going to make sure that we're going to watch this inflation trend. We might increase the interest rates, not necessarily in 2021, not necessarily in 2022, perhaps in 2023. It's very contentious still. That's the reality. Now, when it comes to risk management and governance, how do we manage this? While we are defining the challenge, while we recognize sustainability is the name of the game, we have to eradicate extreme poverty. We have to make sure global warming and climate change and food securities are interconnected if you have to alleviate poverty. And we also have to recognize gender equality we have to bring in. Healthcare, now it's become a name of the game. We have to live today. Every day we are, again, reframing ourselves. We are born again. And that's the reality, like it or not. It's a new day, new opportunities. You are alive, you are done. That's what exactly the commitment we all are making today to society. We wake up and thank you all for bringing me back into this planet. And we look around and say, yes, my family is well off, my extended family is well off, the planet is on. That's the reality. Mind you, the change has to come through multiple forms of human governance, social governance, environmental governance, and economic governance. So it means Not only we have to create a better world, we have to create better citizenship to this world. Everyone has to change. Redefining human values into the prospects. That's why everyone is now focusing on economic social governance, ESG framework. That's the principle-centered realignment in the world. When we talked about Sustainable Development Goal, from Millennium Development Goal to Sustainable Development Goal in 2015, I was presenting in the United Nations in 2012. I said this financial crisis in 2008 is a major opportunity for us to redefine. People didn't like it. It was not accepted easily. Because I was seeing financial engineering was happening around the world as a banker. Ethical, moral governance was toxic to a large extent. Over-leveraging. Otherwise, 179 years, institutions like Lehman Brothers would not have collapsed. Pasteur should not have been bought out by JP Morgan if there were no crisis. But it's a reality. We doctored the products, we deceived the common man, and that's what the change. It became finally one of my research material in Geneva, in European University. A PhD, I got it for the positive side of the financial crisis. Now I'm saying the positive side of the pandemic is very much on. This is an opportunity for us to redefine. This is an opportunity to recognize enterprise risk management. If you're running a corporate or country or continent or the world, this is an opportunity to be more ethical, integrate the risk in real response to changing dynamics, bring in women participation and governance, ensure you bring in under the water, marine conservation, biodiversity bring in, look at alternates, reducing the carbon emission, biofarms, biofuels, look at solar, look at the wind, look at the opportunity where you can integrate and make sure we become more natural. The sun, the earth, the water, the wind, the fire. These are your personality. It is not only outside. It's not nature. Human is a tiny, tiny particle, molecule of the 5 sets powers. That's the reality. It's not a philosophy of India alone. We call it as Panchabhutam, 5 powers. Your human existence, if you look at it, it is designed to deliver that core nature. As long as you integrate with the consonants of the 5 powers, you are internally driving it to create external values. And that's what the endeavor is all about. So we have to understand now we have huge opportunity to transform, even through technology. Let's understand this 4th industrial revolution. If you think that first revolution was cotton spinning or electricity, second revolution was more of to do with the assembly lines, third revolution was confined to PCs and mainframes, a 4th revolution is on. What an opportunity. What an opportunity to recognize that we have everything to leverage on technology, Internet of Things. We are connected now. As we speak, Jesus has connected all of us now to make sure that we connect globally as one citizenship, global citizenship. One world, one citizenship, one humanity. We love the nature, we love the people, like the value creation with the will of God. So Internet of Things is an opportunity. Now, when it comes to financial services, you have the tools needs to be applied. Artificial intelligence, what a fire it is. Biometric, because we have, as long as technology becomes a layman's language, you have cyber risk management. If you ask me the single most risk the world has got today, whether politics or economics, it is cyber risk. We have to understand this. By touch of a button, you can kill the business or the world. So much we need to conceive. We have to understand. You have solutions for it. It's not only problem. We have fantastic solutions evolving by the fourth industrial revolutions. And that's where, whether it these tools, robotics, process automation, does it mean it's substituting human beings? No. You become more value driven. You replace humans where there is a repetitive mechanism. So the quality of life goes up. That's the purpose. Blockchain. What cannot be done with the blockchain? It's a distributed architecture. I know the bankers have to be worrying about it because hitherto the intermediaries were required on many pockets, including treasury or trade. The technology blockchain, distributed architecture, is creating, including private banking. It's connecting the buyers and sellers of money. It's connecting the exporters and importers. So why do you need an intermediary? Question will come. There are roles. You have to realign the business model. So digital innovation is an absolute opportunity. We have enormous amount of opportunity comes in the application programming interface. Now, when it comes to programming interface, every application becomes so perennial, prolific, professional. Customer gets the convenience, customer get the value advantage, customer get the overall comfort in executing financial services. Let's get on with it. So the pandemic side is not everything bad. How do we create a sustainable development to this world unless you leverage on this? So we leverage on the technology. We leverage on the changing dynamics of the industrial revolution. We will understand the social responsibility. We will confirm ourselves. These are opportunities, nothing but opportunities. These are the positive sides of the pandemic. Now, when it comes to ESG, again, the world is recognizing now the tsunami of money is flowing now. Everyone understands if you list an enterprise in the market, if you are not ESG governed, financial services will have no meaning. Just watch it. Few years, the whole dynamics will change. Market capitalization will go up if you are socially conscious. If you do social risk management, I mean. If you are not doing the social risk management, you are out of business. You are out of business. The share price will crash because that's what we want to create. We need to create ethical and moral governance. Ethical is not situational. Human design is not something new. Human existence, our old values still hold good. Integrating your heart and mind is eternal. The only tyrant we have to worry about is a voice within. If you understand these dynamics as you as a person, as an individual, as an internal drive, the external drive becomes incidental. We don't need to mask ourselves. We can understand these dynamics can take you a purposeful mission. So corporate becomes a social responsibility for a transformational leader. That's what the topic is all about. I didn't put this topic. It is Jesus and his team delivered this topic. I compliment him because it is so meaningful. Purposefully, you have to come to terms. Imagine if global productivity is 60 trillion a year, maybe more. It's contracting now. Everyone is becoming poor from the status where they were. That's only a temporary situation. If you have to put back in track, then you have to necessarily recognize you have to be purposeful in your submission to create a sustainable value stream. And that's what our task is all about. In specific terms, let me conclude with meaningful solutions to sum it up. As an institution, we are committed. I mentioned to you 20 years before I started this mission to be more productive and positive for a sustainable value chain. I declared we will get into UNESCO mission. We will create eco-school programs. We will invest or lend for a purposeful mission. We will create better value to small and medium-sized entrepreneurs so that income inequality comes down. So all these are only because unless you are a good person, you don't create good corporate. Unless you are a good corporate, you don't create good society. Unless there are a group of good society, You don't create a good nation. Unless you are a group of good nations, you don't create United Nations. And that's what my conception is all about. Now, when it comes to business management in the current context, I have adopted last year, February 29th, I said, by virtue of my experience, I said I have to go for 5 strategy, 5R I call it as. Number 1, I will look at remodeling my business. We are a diverse operation, wholesale, retail, treasury, investments. We run $10 billion investments as an institution. So we have to necessarily make sure when a balance sheet is over 110 billion Qatar Riyal. So when it comes to corporate management, remodel the business. Transaction-based processing on retail will all be digital. When it comes to wholesale, whether cash management or corporate finance, you have a huge opportunity for the reasons which I mentioned, leveraging on various revolution and restructure the debt, because no single debtor, we are debtors to this world. My first submission. We have got the infrastructure inherited in this world, which I mentioned. So when it comes to our debtor, we recognize we have to restructure them because he doesn't have the debt servicing capacity what he has had before this crisis. So you have to enable him to be successful to restructure this debt. And that's what the need of the hour. When it comes to remedial management, whether it is operational risk management, whether it is debt servicing, how do we make sure business continuity is on? How do you make sure cyber risk is mapped? How do you ensure business is continuing its values, mission and purposeful existence? Then you have to look at cross-selling. Revenue enhancement has to come because we are interconnected. Our methodology has changed, whether human capital or otherwise, because no more you need to be physically located. We are not location-centric. We are information-centric. We are not product-centric. We are consumer-centric. So essentially, we have to necessarily look at cross-selling. Banking will change. Financial service will change. Stocks, mutual fund, banking, insurance, everything will be in one pot, one stop. If institution is going to deliver this, then you have a value. If you don't have. Customers are not going to run around. And again, last but not the least, rationalization. You have to look at making it more cost effective in substance. So these are the strategies which has worked. If you're a leader, the last point I want to say, you have to have understanding of the changing trend in the world, changing trend in the business, changing technology trend, and leverage on the technology, as I mentioned, staying competitive and ensuring you give it back to society. Give it back to society. So when you have stakeholders, your human capital is important. Your shareholders are important. Your customers are important. Your society is important. That's very important. It's not lopsided. If you are transformational in your leadership, a business should grow, and we should grow. So with this words, I want to thank World Cup, Jesus and his team, Daniel, and rest of the panelists for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and have a wonderful afternoon or morning or evening. We are global citizens, as I said. We are in different time zones, and I compliment the organization. And we are proud to be part of the World Cup. And I once again welcome Jesus and his team to Qatar when you plan next. Thank you.